Happy Thanksgiving to one and all. Well, I mean, we wouldn't really celebrate it in this country, but in other countries they do, and in the US, that's what they do, and that's what they're doing in NAWA. You've got a blooming hour. A whole almost 60 minutes of NAWA goodness. Well, not necessarily goodness, but some of it is, and it's really enjoyable. I'm really having a good time with the atmosphere of it. Not all the wrestling's great, but it's lovely to see this Thanksgiving Throwdown. Now, what NAWA don't seem to have thought of with the 4 matches you get here, 4. That was 3, that's 4. That's 5, Steve. That's 4, that's the 1. Yeah, there you go. What they don't seem to have realised is that this is outdoors, and you're probably going to need, if you're starting in late afternoon, which they seem to be, you're probably going to need some lighting because what the sun tends to do is it tends to set, and therefore it gets darker. That's called night. And it tends to... I know. But you would have thought they might have had some kind of light. But they haven't. I mean, they do get a light eventually, but it's this kind of thing that really makes me enjoy NAWA because it's authentic. It's authentic. It's, as Michael Elliott says, and Michael Elliott, thank you so much, what a gentleman, and also a scholar. I don't know if he's a scholar. I'm not sure. Maybe he'll tell me, but he's definitely a John T. Om, a gentleman. He mentioned my podcast, which is nice of him. We've been chatting a little, you see. He didn't mention it to be laudatory to it. He said he sounds like Steve Swift's Rambling Reviews, and God help him. Oh, well, I mean, if that's the way you feel, how dare you? Not really. It was nice to hear you. Nice. Nice to hear you, nice. And he's on his own this week because most people want to have their Thanksgiving dinners. And I suppose that Michael's already had his, and now he's doing the commentary. He's flying solo. There's no Curtis. There's no JPS. Not GPS. That's how you find places, isn't it, these days? No, JPS, Josh Paul Sellers. So, he's doing a damn good job. He's been solo before, knows what he's doing. It is, as he says, did he say it's the biggest or the realest Carolinas? I'll come back to that in a minute. It's in my notes. My notes are here because there's quite a lot to talk about this week. Oh, I lost control of my phone then. All over the shop, wasn't it? Ooh. Yeah, there's quite a lot to talk about. So we've got George South out first. He will be facing Tyler Kern later. Now, as he says, it's for the Carolinas title, and really it's teacher versus student, but then he has taught most of the people in the Carolinas. So, and he's been around for 40 years in the wrestling game. So, generally it will be teacher versus student, but they do the sort of, I taught you everything that you know, but I didn't teach you everything that I know, like how to make a pecan pie. I don't think we'll be doing that in the rest. I don't think we'll be doing that in the ring. Anyway, they'll be fighting later on. I'm not a massive fan of George's right now, but we'll come to that match in a minute. First of all, it's Giovannisci versus Bodie. Now, the thing is that Bodie, this is what Michael says. They're the only true Carolinas promotion. And what he means is that they cover all the Carolinas, which is great. And they are, they're in Minneapolis as well. Yeah. And they are the longest running episodic program in the Carolinas. Is this episode 5060 or something like that? Anyway, back to this match, in which Giovannisci, if I remember rightly, is the good guy and Bodie isn't. But then that switches halfway through. So, we've got a headlock from Bodie. That's worked very well. Bodie puts Giovannisci down. Oh, look at your hair. You need it conditioned. He's got quite a thick mop of hair, you see, Giovannisci. Doesn't put him down like that. He throws him down to the mat. Then we've got a nice hip toss from Giovannisci, which is a rolled through hip toss. It's very nice. Suplex, head crank, and a really nasty travelling DDT from Giovannisci. Very nice. There is... what was that? Was that Bodie? Because Bodie then tries to get a pin after a bit of offence, throws a tantrum because he wanted the pin, didn't get it, and he's getting cheesed off. The crowd instantly turn on him. It's wrestling red in tooth and claw, isn't it? He then talks to the crowd and wastes time when he's got Giovannisci down. But then we've got an outside-in Giovannisci roll-up for the pin. It weren't bad at all. And we're going to be told who is thankful for what. This, you had that in the Survivor Series with the WWF. Remember, Dusty Rhodes? What am I thankful for? My polka dot! Yeah, all of that. We've got Curtis, who's thankful for the time he won't need to be fighting the Moonshine Express. He's happy for the time after the match. They'll be fighting the Moonshine Express, which of course is the big nasty bastard, and Dusty Money. He's now teaming up with Mike Marn. Now, as Michael Elliott points out quite well, actually, they did fight recently, and Curtis Robertson, it is Robertson, not Robinson, isn't it? It's Robertson, isn't it? Curtis Robertson used nefarious tactics to win, and that's when Mike Marn thought, actually, I should do it that way, and also I should team up with Curtis Robertson. So they have. They're called VSP. VSP. We don't know what it stands for. Michael doesn't know. I don't know. Maybe he can find out for next week. Or maybe Curtis could tell me. We sometimes talk. And he also says, I do like that Curtis said, I don't want you to punch any of the Moonshine Express in the belly just in case that moonshine comes out all over the ring. That'd be horrible. Yeah, so I must say that Michael also says that he and JP Lehman used to rule the roost in NAWA. I can see that. I really can. Tough guys. Anyway, we've got the Carolinas title now. So it's South versus Curl. Now, there is a reverse hip toss from, reverses into a hip toss from South. He then takes a kind of arm bar. He doesn't do anything with the arm. That's the trouble. Just stands there looking at the crowd and the crowd like it who are there, but it doesn't really come over when I'm watching it, to be honest. But Tyler Curl really sells it. Then there's a George South slam, back to the wrist lock, and an arm bar. Tyler Curl sells again. He has to, because George is not doing much with it, to be honest. Then he stomps on the toe, which he likes to do, does George. Back to the arm. I don't want to see him go back to the arm, so I'm quite pleased when Tyler hits a back elbow. He misses an elbow drop, though, and George is back to the arm. Well, the wrist, actually. I don't know. Yeah, but then Tyler Curl gets a shot that puts George South down. He wants a cover from that. Yeah, there is then a headlock from Tyler Curl. George doesn't really work it that much. I don't know. I'm just not sure. I know he's seasoned and all of that, but I'm not excited by the work. Then there's an abdominal stretch, which George likes to do. Now, Michael is very nice. Michael Elliott's very nice about this. He calls it a claw, but it's more of a kind of grab to the ribs. Not really a claw. It's like that. I can feel my body being massaged. It's that sort of thing, It's not ideal. He then pulls back on the nose, does it twice. I quite like that from George South, quite nice. He's been a bit nasty. In this match. He then gets punched. Well, he punches, should I say. Gets a punch in front of the ref. He shows the ref what he's going to do, follows through with the punch. The ref does not say, sorry, that's a DQ, mate. They just carry on, really. I suppose it's like in football, or soccer, as you Americans call it, with a play-on rule, There's an abdominal stretch then from Tyler Curl. George South hip tosses out of it. He's got an object. He then chokes him with the foot on the throat, that sort of thing. I was doing my foot then. Yeah, the foot. Then there's a headlock from George South, which is worked, actually. George says it's asleep. I'm going to put him to sleep. Tyler Curl fights out of that, but then George South actually puts a sleeper on. Yeah, and then he gets to the flying punch. Does George South for the pin. That was all right. travelling punch. It weren't bad. It weren't as bad as some I've seen recently with the Carolinas title, but it weren't great. Now, the Wranglers are thankful for being... I might have zoned out. I'm not sure. Were they thankful for being thankful? I don't know. Anyway, here's VSP versus the Moonshine Express. BNB, the big nasty bastard, prevarication to begin with, because he's doing prevarication for the nation, the culmination. He likes the crowd to see all of that. He gets the belly bump in. I don't like that. He calls his belly Uncle Elmer. I don't like that. I'm not keen on it. There is an armbar from... I've got something in it. I've got a little hair. Oh, dear. Can't be carrying on doing my podcast with a hair. There. Ooh, blimey. So, by the way, Guy tonight is not there tonight, as Michael Elliott says the other night. Yeah, nicely done. He's not there tonight because he's away tonight, or that night, having the Thanksgiving night tonight. Anyway, back to this match, which is that Dusty Money gets a leg drop to Curtis Robinson's arm. As Michael says, it'll be difficult for him at the dinner table with that bad arm. Yes. Then he gets the Dusty Rhodes elbow, the kind of, the one with the, that one, that's BMB, and gets a slam. Dusty Money's in for a wheelbarrow slam to Curtis Robinson, who comes back with an enormous clothesline. Then they decide, VSP, to hit the bushwhacker head, head under the arm. Oh, that's not that, is it? That's Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Whoa, that one, yeah. And unfortunately, it goes into BMB's Uncle Elmer belly and doesn't do them any good whatsoever. They bounce off the belly, and Robertson, though, smacks him with a chain and gets the pin. I never expected that to happen. I thought that the Moonshine Express would win because the crowd like them. That's a bit of a swerve. I like a bit of a swerve. I like swerve, and I like a bit of a swerve. So anyway, we've got Duke Patterson versus Nico J. Not Nico J. Next, we've seen Duke before, but not Nico. Duke's not very popular with the crowd, and there is a Patterson headlock, which is worked. A flying elbow from Nico. That lands. We get the snapmare for a 2 count. Then he hip tosses. Duke Patterson bails. He sort of pulls Nico out under the bottom rope. And I think it was supposed to be that Nico was supposed to be guillotined, with his head on the bottom rope. But I don't think that Nico realised that. And he just kind of slips out under the bottom rope. So it's a little bit clunky, that bit. He then throws him back in, more or less, after just a couple of shots. Jaws with the fans, gets a cartwheel. He cartwheels up to him and then kind of disrespects him. Yeah, you, look at me cartwheeling up to you. Yeah, you see, that sort of thing. Then he can't get the sweep of the leg, but he does manage a very nice Boston Crab. So that's good. And a Superman punch, which works for a 2 count. This is all Duke. Very nice, Nico. DDT, though. Really well sold by Duke, who sort of darts himself on his head. That's beautifully done, I have to say. Then a back elbow off the second rope and a nice snug cutter from Nico for a 2.999 recurring. But then you get the Patterson hidden blade, the clothesline or the forearm to the back of the head for the pin. Pretty good, actually. But it's not over yet, folks. We've got Pony and Outlaw. Now, Outlaw, because the Tucker Rhodes can't be there. He is on promo later on, but earlier on, should I say, but he's not there on this night. So, like the last Wranglers fight, we've got the Carolina Dreamer, who, of course, who apparently is called Pony Johnson. Is his name really Pony? Blimey. So it's Pony and Outlaw, David Sellers, versus the Closers, Myrick Moore, who, of course, remember, used to be an NAWA champion for a short amount of time. I know my Carolinas history, you see. And Derek Driver, who I've not seen before. There is a double Pony clothesline, double Japanese arm drag. Well done, Michael. Nicely said. And then there's Michael Elliott apologising for the lack of light. At this point, we kind of realise that it's not. But it looks it's got a sort of Christmassy feel to it. It's a bit odd. You can still see it. A light does appear at one point. As they say, let there be light. We're in a church setting and let there be light. But anyway, there's a more head crank, which is worked, and a neck breaker. The pony drop kick looks good. He's a big fella. And he gets off his feet, you know. And then Sellers rolls up. He rolls up. Who was it? It was Derek Driver. But Moore rolls him so that Driver gets the pin. That's naughty. Ref didn't see it. They all count. If the ref doesn't see it, it's not an infraction, is it? Okay, Duke Fury versus Dre the Goat. This is the final match, and it's getting rather dark now, folks. Now, early on, Dre handles Luke Fury. Then it spills to the floor. There is a chop from Fury, but Dre just goes, I can do that twice as strong, and proceeds to do so. It's like a whip crack. Like a whip crack. Really good. There is a Fury clothesline, then one to the back in the ropes for a 2 count. Some really good long counts or kick outs here, which are coming up. Nice a springboard forearm from Fury lands flush on the jaw for a long 2 count. He misses the swanton. Dre the Goat gets a shotgun dropkick for a 2 count. They trade nasty kicks. Now, Fury gets a cutter off the top and you think, that's it. Dre kicks out. Then you've got a Dre Blue Thunderbomb and you think, that's it. Fury kicks out. Then there's a nasty Dre Shining Wizard and a frog splash. And he gets the pin. I never expected that because Fury is in NAWA a lot more than Dre. Unless Dre's going to be a feature here. And there you have your Thanksgiving. Like a Thanksgiving plate. It was chock full of goodies. And whether the wrestling's good or bad, I've kind of been captured by NAWA. I really like it. And never thought I'd be saying that, folks, but I really do. It works for me. And even with an hour, and even with wrestling matches which don't make you say, my God, what stupendous wrestling, it's still wrestling entertainment. And that is something to really enjoy. Ta-ta.